I went out, or I went and I dug out these black fittings. I think are 3.5 metric, and these are metric 2.5. They're not wood screws, but they do fit these holes. So to mount the Enjomor, I'm going to use a super glue trick to put a dab of super glue in the hole, and then put the screws in right away, and the screw pushes the super glue down through the hole, and it makes threads on the way down, and then the super glue sets. I was gonna say, except you gotta be quick about getting your screws into the hole before the super glue sets. And I wasn't fast enough. Yeah, alright. There we go. There. So that's fixed on there pretty nicely. Should hold just fine. The super glue, unlike Loctite, isn't gonna bond to the metal as tightly, so it'll be easy to remove that without damaging anything. And then we've got to fix this trigger unit. Just like the last one, I'm going to pull it apart, strip that third wire out, the red one that's not connected to anything, because the other engine was backfiring through this red lead and grounding out on the engine instead of letting the ignition fire. So, and then to neaten that up, we'll fumble a bit of thread around here. There. That thread should hold all that together pretty well. And just stick that back in place on the bracket here. And now that third contact is cut off back here where it can't short out against the frame of the engine. So So a nice thing about the Enjomor is it does use basically two sizes of bolts for everything. So if it's not a head bolt, it's one of these other smaller ones that's a 1.5 millimeter hex head. So I think that's M25. There we go. That. Well, it definitely would have been easier to put that in before we put the engine base onto this. But wait a second, does this even fit through that hole? No. Alright, the hole in the space was not made big enough for the fat plug. So can I think I can pop this apart. Nope. Can't pull that apart easily, so I'm gonna just leave it. And I will have to take the Dremel from the underside here and widen that hole just a little bit, because as you can see it just doesn't fit. So I'll open that up from underneath to get this to slip down inside so that I don't have a big coil of wire sitting under here, so I can pull the wire all the way out. But for now, let's get the rest of this side stuck back on the engine. So we go. The return spring. Oh. There. So our new shoe is back there. And we have to put the bottom screws for this slide in place. Go. There. Go, governor weights, and then put the original spring back in here for now. And I need to remember how I did this last time because it's not an easy trick. I think because the spring lines up with this top hole in the bracket, so you have to cover that hole or else that spring will pop out of the arm here and into that hole in the bracket. And then after it's all on, you can put the upper bolts back in place. So right. Perfect. This is all moving just fine for now. There's movement here. All right. I will have to check the length of this now because this push rod had, I added that brass shoe to it, which did extend it, and you can see it's pulling pretty far out ahead of the latch, but as long as it's not oh yeah. Alright, it helps if I turn this the right way. So it's got a half position there, and it is pushing on the exhaust rod at the half position. So it's a bit long. There's not a lot of adjustment on this here, but yeah. Alright. Well, that we can trim without too much trouble, and I will be deciding that in a minute, but got the side of this back together. That's pretty good. And all right, there's a guide that goes on the front here, so we'll slap this guide on quick. All right. I think that's going to be where I stop right now. So I've got the side of the engine put back together. That is the spot where it's supposed to be retracting, and there. This bracket was crooked. All right. When I get some lubrication in there, that should help this retract a bit. Otherwise, I guess I'll have to find a tighter spring for that spot. But for now, we'll give this a pause and get back to it at a later date.